one of the largest attacks on the West Bank in over 20 years, in the deaths and all of the things that have come from that. We covered that. But one term that kept coming up, mowing the lawn, mowing the lawn. This is actually something that the Israeli government is like a phrase they use to describe something in their apartheid government. This guy in this clip describes what it means, and I just kind of wanted to play it, and then we can kind of react and then get to the next story.
In a nutshell, the idea of mowing the lawn is a doctrine that has been promoted by the Israeli military for quite a while and is mostly associated with Israeli army policy vis-a-vis the Gaza Strip, particularly targeting the political group Hamas and Islamic Jihad and other militants. And the idea of mowing the lawn or mowing the grass is essentially this idea that the Israelis have that if there's no permanent solution to really eradicate these Palestinian militant groups, then the idea is that you're in a constant cycle to basically undercut their capacity temporarily until the next round. And this is what we've been seeing put in full force, especially since the beginning of the blockade of Gaza in 2007. Now, you've seen variations of this military policy practice in many respects, but what we've been seeing in the past few days in Jenin is that doctrine being played out in full force. I mean, this operation itself is not happening in a vacuum. For the past year and a half, the Israeli army has been focusing on cities like Jenin and Nablus in the northern West Bank, where it's been actively targeting Palestinian militants and their weapons. But of course, as Mustafa was describing, this has come at the complete collective punishment of the populations over there, especially the refugee camps, very much in the same kind of methodology as what we're seeing in the Gaza Strip. And as those confrontations have escalated between militants, both against the army and against settlements, and sometimes against cities inside Israel, that the army was coming under more and more pressure to actually go in as a ground invasion. And even 2 weeks ago, we saw, as you described, the first time that they returned to air power through Apache helicopters, which I believe were supplied by the United States, and then 2 days later through a drone strike. And basically, these being the first airstrikes in the West Bank for the first time since the Second Intifada, even though they've of course been very much the modus operandi in the Gaza Strip. So this is that manifestation that we're seeing. This is the philosophy that's playing out, basically as the maintenance of an apartheid regime that includes Gaza and the West Bank, and that this is the solution that the Israeli authorities are seeing from the political echelon to the military establishment.
I mean, he so perfectly describes. So basically, what's happening, what we saw in this latest sort of attack on the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. This is just part of their normal sort of ideology around keeping them like being able to establish foundations. That's always coming in them and breaking it up to basically like disrupt, which is. It's the same thing they do here. You just go in and disrupt to keep people from trying or from building power through organizing. You go in and disrupt. And that's what we saw. And if the casualties are regular people, that's just what it is when it comes to apartheid. So either of you saw this video or knew about mowing the lawn and wanted to react, or if you wanted to react to this video, I'll go to you, Colin, first, and then Anthony.
This is new to me. I haven't seen this before, but it kind of makes sense when the U.S. is funding Israel.
Yes.
So, of course, they're going to keep doing it, knowing that they basically have a blank check in terms of having them being able to do this on a regular basis. So it's not really a surprise to me. But yeah, as you said, CJ, we've seen this in our history, and we've seen this, just even within our movements here. It's just the idea of, they're looking to disrupt, but in order for them to disrupt, especially given the military-industrial complexes involved, they need the money in order to do it. So they'll just be able. So the U.S., is basically funding Israel to be able to kind of do this as often as needed to. So we have our hands dirty in all of this as well. But but it's not. But it just makes it stand to question why our funding of Israel should be removed, primarily to ensure that stuff like this doesn't happen, or at least not likely to happen, given if you take away Israel's funding to be able to do this. But yeah, I mean, it's not surprising at all, given
Terrible.
our hands in this.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, it is not surprising, Collins. Right on the money there. I think this is the country whose military forces shot Shireen,
Mm-hmm.
the Palestinian journalist who's also an American citizen, in the face and then lied about it. United States allowed that to happen. One of our own citizens murdered by Israel. An unarmed citizen not involved in conflict, but in reporting. This is supposedly our ally. So, yeah, I did look at a few quick articles on this whole idea of Israel prefers perpetual war.
Yeah.
It puts its own citizens in danger, as well as way more Palestinian folks in danger. This needs to be called what it is. It's truly evil. As we agree, like, no war is good, but some war is even more horrendous than others. And it's almost like what we're doing in Ukraine with the proxy war, dragging it out and not caring who dies. And so I think the good news is I think the global South is getting a much louder voice lately. Countries in continents like Africa, they're not down with this. And so, when you're in our bubble of the United States, we're like, Israel, it's a democracy and da da da. Well, there's nothing about the people of Israel. There are good people everywhere. But their government, they have a warmongering version of Donald Trump in power. And the whole government. We never hear about the Israeli peace movement in this country, and it exists. We never hear about it. We don't know the names of the people killed by Israelis' murderous military incursions into the illegally occupied territory. But I guess my hope is that a confluence of factors will create stronger alliances between the global South and oppressed people everywhere. So we can see how, once again, U.S. empire never has human rights at heart, never has quick resolutions at heart. And it's sad. And this is why, and I don't hate Marianne Williamson or RFK Jr. Actually, I think Marianne Williamson has some things to contribute. She says some very nice things about why we need to feel connected to everyone. But then on this issue, there's this huge blind spot. And I think, what can it take to get good people? Because I don't think she's evil. I just don't think she's helping. What does it take to get good people to be willing to open their eyes? And it's that like red pill, blue pill thing. I understand everyone has their own evolution. I had mine. I volunteered for Democrats for years, knocked on doors, made phone calls, went to fundraisers. I've only donated to Democrats. Slowly and gradually, I got to the point where I was like, this isn't helping. Everyone's got their own pace. But I think we have to open these conversations up. Somebody needs to challenge good people who really would do far better pushing against both parties than joining one and trying to change from within, to stand up and say, this is wholesale slaughter. Remember, Israel was on the side of the murderous, racist apartheid regime of South Africa. And what they did, what P.W. Botha and those people did to Biko and to those school children that they mowed down, that was Israel supporting another apartheid regime. And the last thing I think is it's just important. This has nothing to do with religion or ethnicity, right? It's not about that. It's about power for them. criticizing the right-wing government of Israel is not anti-Semitic. We shouldn't have to say that. It's horrible to say that we have to. It's not. But we seem, the United States, very comfortable with there being a lot of chaos and a lot of murder of non-white, non-Christian people. Again, Cornel West is the only person who seems to articulate that's declared that they want to run for president. I wish we could have these conversations more.
I think that's the reason why he is garnering a lot of support. I mean, it's because of him and people like him, but it's also because there is still certain issues that, for instance, Marianne Williamson and RFK, they're just still not good on, and he is. And I think that's a glaring thing.